Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, September the 12th, and just want to first apologize for not being available for several days here. Oh, also let me move my microphone closer. There's not been a lot to really report on in the markets, honestly, but I do feel like we're getting very, very close to a potential breakout here for XRP. So I wanted to come on here and give you my thoughts. I'm going to start off with the weekly and just see where we're looking here on the weekly with a couple of days left here before the weekly close. Obviously, the first major thing that I'm looking for is on the weekly for us to hold above $3. So anything that we do on the weekly candle, the goal is just by the end of the day on Sunday when the weekly close happens, that we're somewhere with price above that $3 level. I think that's very important. In fact, if you want to get very technical about it, you could come out here to the monthly and say that on the monthly, we want to hold above the previous monthly open, which would have been at 302.23. I don't know if you saw that, but up there, 302.23 is where the monthly open was. So keeping weekly price above 302.23, but at least $3 is pretty essential there. On the 2-week, we can look at the 2-week and see where we're at there. We have, again, about two to 3 days left. On the 2-week, it would be great for us to close above 308.77. That would be a very good sign. That would be a not a bullish engulfing, but it would match the previous 2-week candle as far as the body goes. If you notice how the bodies of these candles are looking like, if we get a little bit more of a push here up to 308, 309, we'll close that and match the previous 2-week red candle. So those are just some initial price targets I'm looking at as I come from the macro down to the micro. And again, weekly, anything above $3 I think is a win. As we come down to the daily, right now the daily is looking like it's met a little resistance up in this area, but we certainly can, push through this. I'm not too excited about price. Like I mentioned on previous videos, I'm not going to get excited about price until we start to close 4 and 6 hour candles above 310 and 315, 313. There's just not much to really look at until then because we really haven't broken out yet. Because one could argue that this is the larger triangle here, and so we still maybe have one final little piece of consolidation, a pullback. I would like to see us just go ahead and break here. I think we deviated below the triangle that was forming, and so we had this small deviation below, and now we're back up in the triangle. I think you can argue that pretty soundly that we're back up in it. The question is how quickly are we going to get the steam to just go on for a full breakout? So once we clear 315, then really this area is going to be filled pretty quick between 315 and 335, 337. Obviously, once we get back above 338, 339, then the real fun's going to begin. The question of when that's going to happen is really up to whatever the market makers decide to do. I think we're probably waiting for the Fed announcement next week, which is on the 17th of September. So we probably just have a few more days here of chop, climbing a wall of worry here. But if we get any good news on the interest rates being cut, being loosened, quantitative easing being increased, then I think we're going to see pretty good moves here in all the different crypto markets and also the stock market. So the Russell 2000 continues to toy with this previous all-time high. So we're not too far away from that. Just a 5% push is going to get us into new all-time highs for the Russell 2000. Those are just some thoughts that I have on the markets. I'm not going to share any thoughts that I have politically right now. I'm afraid of what I would say. But, that's also been a big toil, a big weight on my mind as I've beheld what's gone on in our country the last few weeks with several violent acts of just senseless killings, and then to see how people respond to those. We just live in a very sick and twisted society. But Yeah, I'm just going to keep this channel to crypto, but yeah, it's been a tough time for us, and I guess my best advice to you would be to trade your way to some measure of financial freedom so that you can have options, because we're quickly getting into a society where you might not have options. So that's the reason that we do this, is so that we can have some measure of time freedom, work freedom. But anyway, hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll try to hop on here if I see any major developments. But those are my thoughts. Those are the levels that I'm still watching for. So really, we haven't broken out here yet. Nothing to get excited or write home about just yet. But all the signs are looking promising. Could we still roll over here and put in a lower low to 255 area? That's really getting ruled out pretty quickly. I would say to rule that out with certainty, we would need to close above that $3.13 level there at that pinkish red line. So it's still possible that we roll over and come back lower. So, keep that in mind as we trade. Don't get overconfident until, we have several confirmations on several time frames. But anyway, hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.